The Saints get huge news and big updates at the NFL Combine. You're watching Saints Now by Chat Sports. I'm your host, Trace Girouard, and it's very, very obvious that New Orleans is targeting wide receiver in the 2026 NFL Draft. In today's video, we're going to be hearing from a lot of the top wide receiver draft targets in some exclusive footage that we got from the NFL Combine, including Carnell Tate, Makai Lemon, Jordyn Tyson, and wide receiver Chris Bell. So make sure you stick around throughout the duration of the video because we actually also find out who Tyler Shough wants to draft at the wide receiver position. Now, I want to hear from you before we get into today's content. Who do you want to draft at the wide receiver position? Let me know what you think in the comment section. Share your thoughts, and let's start things off with Carnell Tate. Now, it's worth noting that he did have a formal meeting with the New Orleans Saints, and it sounds like things went fairly well. He did say it would be a great opportunity to play New Orleans. I think that it would be a really cool thing to see the Ohio State wide receiver pipeline continue. That being said, when it comes to Carnell Tate, I do fear he's a little bit of a Chris Olave type player, but he says he can do everything, so maybe he's somebody that's worth exploring.
Like I said, everything. Mindset, the catching, the route running, the blocking. I got the mindset I'm the best receiver in the draft class. I got the route running. I'm able to manipulate DBs. I got the catching. I can contest the catch over DBs. I make a great catch. I got the field awareness. I was sideline, couple sideline grabs. Also showed up in the blocking game, blocking DNs, corners, whatever you need, man, I got it.
Carnell Tate highlights his mindset, highlights his catching, highlights his route running. He can manipulate the DBs. He has the field awareness. He's great in contested catches. He can block. He can do it all. And when you talk about what the New Orleans Saints need, I think a do-it-all wide receiver would be awesome. But I also think that he wouldn't necessarily be complimentary to Chris Olave as much as some of the other wide receiver targets out there. And for what it's worth, I think a lot of teams are going to view Carnell Tate as their wide receiver one. So I'm going to just go ahead and say I would be shocked if he's on the board at number 8 overall. And if he is on the board, I'm definitely interested in drafting him. Now let's move on to USC product Makai Lemon, and I am actually extremely intrigued with this prospect. He said it would be a blessing to play alongside Chris Olave, and I think that he would be an excellent fit in Kellen Moore's scheme. I think he would fill a hole and a void that the New Orleans Saints offense is missing, especially in the receiving department. And honestly, I think that he's somebody with the yards after catch ability that could be extremely explosive and dynamic. But here's what he had to say about playing alongside Chris Olave.
Yeah, that'll be a blessing, to be, along him. He's a great receiver. I'm there, just to be, the best team that I can be. If it's blocking, pass catching, no matter what it is.
Look, Makai Lemon was an extremely productive football player for the USC Trojans, over 1,100 yards, 11 touchdowns. He is dangerous when he has the football in his hands. And the New Orleans Saints, as we know, are a team that struggles to create explosive plays. They also struggle to start fast. So I think that Makai Lemon could be a player that could fix both of those problems pretty much immediately if you draft him at number 8 overall. When it comes to some of his best qualities, I think that there's a laundry list of reasons why the Saints should be interested in Makai Lemon, but let's hear from him because he knows it better than anyone. Why should the Saints draft Makai Lemon? What are his best traits?
My best trait, probably the things I can do, after the catch. I could turn a 2-3 yard route into a big gain or even possibly as a touchdown. And then, my blocking. The way I can impact, the team, with the ball, without the ball in my hands.
Look, if the New Orleans Saints are going to go wide receiver in round 1, I don't think it's a bad idea. Makai Lemon feels like a perfect fit. I'm not saying the Saints have to draft a wide receiver in round 1, but there's just no world where he makes it outside of the first round. So if you want Makai Lemon, take him at number 8 overall, get your guy. But I will say there are a lot of other options out there at other positions that the Saints could explore because there is some really interesting wide receivers, especially one that we haven't talked about yet and somebody that Tyler Shough wants to bring in. So coming up, we're going to talk about Jordyn Tyson because he spoke about Chris Olave and the New Orleans Saints as well, and Tyler Shough. He wants to draft his old pal Chris Bell out of Louisville, so we're going to talk about that and share what he had to say in this video. But really quickly, if you want to check out the St. Patty's Day merch, chatsports.com/SaintsGreen. join the drinking team. Shout out to my friend Michael Scott for buying one. And if you want to join the drinking team as well, hit the link that's in the comments or description of this video. And it's not too late to get your shirts by St. Patty's Day. So get it in black, get it in green. Get yours by clicking the link down below, chatsports.com/SaintsGreen, and you can join the drinking team. Now, Jordyn Tyson, he had a formal meeting with the New Orleans Saints as well. I got to say, it's pretty cool to see Chris Olave getting a lot of praise and a lot of young players being complimentary of number 12. Tyson, the Arizona State product, says it would be amazing to play with Chris Olave in New Orleans.
That'd be amazing, just having a receiver on the other side of me like that. I watched him when he was in college, amazing player, and that'd be amazing.
I think it's cool that Jordyn Tyson watched Chris Olave play wide receiver at Ohio State back in college. I think that he made a good point. It would be really nice to have a wide receiver on the other side of him like Chris Olave. I think the two of them could work fairly well. I do have some concerns when it comes to the injuries with Jordyn Tyson, but I do think that he is a player that could be fairly productive given the Kellen Moore situation. So what could his role be in New Orleans? Well, he answered that question at the Combine.
Just being able to run every route, take some pressure off Chris Olave. I feel like that'll be kind of my role.
Now, running every route, I think that's something Chris Olave does very well. I think that you could also get Jordyn Tyson to be an extremely effective wide receiver to take some of that pressure off of Chris Olave. He pointed that out in the video. Again, the injuries are really what concerns me. When he's on the field, I have nothing bad to say about Jordyn Tyson, but I just need to see him be on the field more often. That's where my biggest issues rise with Jordyn Tyson. If this is who the Saints end up picking, I'm not going to be upset by it whatsoever, but I do think that there are players out there that could be a better fit, including Chris Bell, who we're going to talk about right here in 1 second. Do not forget, though, to subscribe to the channel. We're at 55,780 members of our Golden Gang. We need 20 more to hit today's goal. So lock us in for 100% free. If you're a diehard Saints fan and you want free Saints YouTube videos every single day, hit the sub button right here, right now. Now, let's finish the video off by talking about Chris Bell. And I actually think that this is going to be a player that we do a deep dive with next week on the show, maybe as a part of our live show. This player is really exciting. I really, really am intrigued with what Chris Bell can do for the New Orleans Saints. He spoke about Tyler Shough. He clearly wants to be drafted by New Orleans. The Saints had a formal meeting with the Louisville wide receiver. And let's just kick it to a couple of clips from Chris Bell in Indianapolis.
Man, it would be great, man. I've been talking to Tyler Shough since this process started. He said he's been telling the Saints about me. He hope he get me, He said they need somebody like me, so it would be great to, reunite with Tyler Shough.
I think it's cool that he's been in constant contact with Tyler Shough since the draft process started. I think it's really interesting that he is saying that, or that Tyler Shough is saying that he hopes that the Saints go and draft him and that they need somebody like Chris Bell. I actually think that that's very true. He spoke about his size, 225 pounds at the Combine, very productive for Louisville, and he has a really interesting blend of size and speed. And I know that there is concerns around his health because he does have a leg injury, but he could potentially return by training camp. He wants to be back sooner than that, though, and he is 3 months removed from surgery, and he starts running next week, so these are all good signs for Chris Bell. If he is healthy and he's ready to go, hell, if he's even slightly healthy, I'm okay with drafting this player. If Tyler Shough says that's the guy I want, I'm handpicking him, I am okay with that 150%. There's already established chemistry. There's already a bond there. They already like each other. They think that they very highly of each other. And I think that Tyler Shough could bring the best out of Chris Bell, and I think Chris Bell could bring the best out of the rest of the Saints offense by opening up opportunities elsewhere because of what he can do with Shough. And I think that it's pretty interesting to see what makes Chris Bell special. I think that he explains it best, so I'm just going to kick it right to him.
Me being 225, it's not a lot of receiver that's in this class that big as me, and not a lot of receivers got speed like me. I'm gonna say that not a lot of receivers got that dog in them like I do. I'm a dog, man. Like I said, I love football, bro, and it's something that I prioritize.
Yeah, you hear that? He's got that dog in him. He loves football. I think it's really cool that Chris Bell and Tyler Shough have this established relationship in college. I think it would be wise for Kellen Moore to continue that into the National Football League. I think it would be a match made in heaven. And honestly, if you bring in a 225-pound wide receiver who compares himself to the Deebo Samuels, DK Metcalfs, Julian, I almost said Julian Adams, the Julio Jones of the world. I don't know why I was going to say Julian. I don't know. Totally opposite. Yeah. Julio Joneses of the world. It's because Jones is in there. Yeah, Lopez. We've had a long week covering the combine, so just bear with us. Long story short, I think that Chris Bell, he compared himself to a lot of very athletic, very well-sized players, and I think that he could be a really good fit for the New Orleans Saints. And look, in my perfect world, I think you could feed families by getting Jeremiah Love at 8 overall, and round 2 you go get Chris Bell. I mean, come on. Are you kidding me? Our offense is fixed. Our offense is so good. Like, obviously, we still need to get the interior offensive line figured out, but we're going to take care of that in free agency. You go draft a couple of really fun weapons, build around Tyler Shough, give Kellen Moore some more toys to play with, and hell, this Saints offense would be absolutely flying. Let me know what you think in this draft plan in the comment section, and give me a me down below as well if you're excited about the 2026 NFL Draft. My name is Trace Girouard. I'm going to go home and get a little bit of sleep. We've been covering the Combine all week. Sorry that we haven't been able to get as much of the crazy content that we do every day. Like, we've been able to still put out 2 videos a day, but it's been kind of like inconsistent around the time. So I just want to apologize about that. I do a lot of the coverage here for a lot of these special events for the Chat Sports team. So Loco Lopez has been a huge part of that as well. So we do have other responsibilities, but the Saints content is here, and we're going to be bringing it to you every single day. So make sure you subscribe, turn on your notifications, and y'all stay golden. Have a happy football.